Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how we can use Excel to do basic graph plotting. Many of you might already know how to do it, but I'm just going to show you more for academic purposes, especially in my line of work, which is in teaching, because sometimes we need to plot a graph for an assessment, and we might need some details which other professions might not need, because sometimes we need students to read off the graph. Okay, so I'll just begin with something really simple. So over here we have an Excel, but I guess it works for most of the spreadsheets. So in most cases you can just begin by typing out an equation. So let's say I want the equation to be, say, a straight line graph. So y equals to 2x plus, say, 4, something like that. Okay, then what we're going to do with the cell would be, to make things easy, we're just going to label the cell with the same unknowns. So this is x and this is y. And if you already have a sense of the range which you want your x to take, you can just insert them in. So for example, I want it to go from, say, -5 all the way to, say, +5. Okay, so I'm just going to type 2, and then I'm just going to drag it down, okay, all the way to 5. Then for y, I can simply type in the formula. So that will be equals to 2 multiply by the cell on the left, because that's the x variable, and then I'm going to write +4. Okay, so before you work on Excel, you probably need to know some basic formula for you to know how to insert basic formulas like what I've done. If not, we can do another video on that, but I think it's quite trivial. You can easily source for them online. Okay, so I'm going to just type it in, and then I get a value here. Okay, then I do not need to type in one by one, because I can just drag it down, and then I'm going to get all the values from here. Okay, then if I'm going to do a simple graph plots, I'm just going to highlight these cells. Okay, and then I'm just going to go to insert, chart, and then I'm going to put scatter plots. Okay, I'm just going to choose a scatter plot without anything, without any of these graphs lah. Okay, then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shift this a little bit, perhaps enlarge it. Okay, the title, if you wish to, you can type it in, but if not, you can just delete it, because you are probably going to paste this into Microsoft Words, because let's say if you are designing a question or something, then you're just going to type it paste it directly in. Okay, so from here I'm just going to show you what you can do to the graph plot. Okay, in most simple cases, I guess most people will know how to do a plot. Okay, so just do a right click and then add a trend line. Okay, then you'll get a straight line graph. So by default, Excel gives you a dotted line, but obviously it doesn't look very nice, so I'm just going to incorporate it as a solid line. Okay, and then I'm just going to change this to a solid line like this. Okay, you will see that the line is a little thick. Okay, so I'm just going to change the width to about 0.75 so that it looks nicer. Okay, then I think in most cases most of us will just plot something like that for our assignment, and then we'll just hand it in. But if we want to use a graph plot for assessment purposes, let's say we want to get students to read off the graph or something, this is not good enough because you can't read off anything from here. So I'm going to go on and show you what you can do to it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the plotted points, okay, which is the data series. Okay, for the marker, right, if you are simply just wanting to get a straight line graph or just a graph, you can just ignore the markers and then maybe just with no markers at all. But in most cases we do want it to be present. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to choose a normal option which we are familiar with, so maybe something like a cross. Okay, then sometimes you might find that the cross is a bit thick or a bit small, and then you can adjust this accordingly. Yeah, it's really up to your preference. Yeah, so we'll keep it to 0.75, and then if you want it to be a different color, you can easily change the color to, let's say, red. Okay, I chose red because it stands out in the plots. Okay, something like that. Yep, and then I'm going to move on to show you what you can do to the plotted area and the axis. Okay, and how can we translate this into something which looks like it's being plotted onto a graph paper. Okay, so first I'm going to beautify the axis. Okay, I'm just going to highlight this. You'll notice that by default the font is Calibri. If you want to change it, you can, but I'm not going to change it. I'm going to change the size 8, going to make it smaller, and I'm going to ensure that it's black in color. You notice that over here it is not black. Okay, it is one of the shades of gray. Okay, so I'm just going to change it to black so that it looks thicker, okay, and clearer. Okay, I'll do the same to the y-axis. Okay, I'm just going to change to black. Okay, then after that I'm going to click on this. Okay, so I'm just going to do it again. I'm just going to click on this, right click, I'm going to format axis. Okay, basically format axis here means that I'm going to decide on the major and the minor grid line. Okay, so from here for the major grid line, right, it's written to be in steps of 2. Okay, so sometimes when we do a graph plot, we might just want to use a suitable major axis. Yeah, so for our graph here, going from left to right, it seems to be fine, but let us just try with 1.0. Okay, then for the minor grid line, let's try with 0.1. Okay, I usually like it to be in division of 10, but if you don't wish to do that, it is fine as well. It's really up to your preference, and after you plot it out, you see if it looks nice on paper. Okay, so this is the minor axis. Okay, so everything seems okay. If we change the minimum and maximum, I'm just going to show you how it looks like. Okay, you notice that the graph now becomes smaller. Okay, I mean it gets flattened a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to reverse it. Okay, yep, and then okay, let me just continue with the axis. Okay, so format axis. Okay, usually you want your the major axis to show you where the labels are. So we might just want to put in a symbol, it's called tick marks in Excel. So you can either do it cross, okay, or outside. Okay, it's really up to you. So maybe we'll do it a cross one here. Okay, and of course the labels is next to the axis, etc. You can also make your axis into a more reasonable color. Okay, so you see I click here, and then you notice that by default the color is gray. I'm just going to change it to black. Okay, so that it's clearer over here. Okay, I'm going to do the same to the axis, the y-axis. Okay, so now I'm going to change to black, right, and then I'm going to format it as well, just like what I did earlier on. Okay, so -10 to 15, and then the units 5, I think that is okay. Okay, and then I'm going to put 0.5 over here. Okay, and yep, I think that should be fine. And then yep, and then the tick marks, major, cross. Okay, the label will be next to it. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, something like that, right? Okay, then you notice that earlier on I sort of decide on the minor axis. Okay, so it's time to add in the minor grid lines. Okay, so now I'm going to add in the minor grid lines. Okay, just going to do it over here. Okay, so you can see that there's an option, add minor grid lines. Okay, so once I add, you notice that the whole thing become very chaotic and it looks quite ugly. Okay, so now I'm going to sort of show you how I will beautify it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a right click again. Okay, format grid lines. Okay, so over here is minor, so I'm going to format the major grid line first. Okay, so now you know the major grid line by default is this particular gray color. It looks a little invisible, so I'm just going to change it to something darker, maybe something like this. Okay, light gray, 50%. Okay, yep. If you feel that it's a little bit too dark, you can just change the color tone downwards. Okay, then I think it looks a little better. Okay, but I think this is fine. Okay, then after that, there is a important thing which you need to do. That is to format the minor grid lines, so that you notice that it doesn't just crisscross over and then it sort of override over the other grid lines. Okay, so I'm just going to click it. Okay, and then again, I'm going to choose the same background color. Okay, you notice that if I choose the same, right, then the whole graph becomes very messy. It's like very dark. Yeah, so I'm not going to use it as it is. I'm going to change the transparency. So that is something you can adjust, and you can adjust until you feel that it looks nice. So perhaps you can try 50%. Okay, I think 50% looks decent. Okay, because you notice that it doesn't override the other portion. Okay, so I can just choose 50%. I think this should look okay. If you think that your major grid lines looks a little bit too dark, what you can do is you can actually change the tone color to maybe something like this, 35%. Okay, I'm just going to show you. Yeah, so if you think this looks a little nicer, or maybe something like that. Okay, you can just play around with the degree of the gray color to see whether when it's printed on paper, does it look nice. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing to the y-axis. Okay, I'm going to add the minor grid lines. Okay, so you're going to get the same ugly graph again. Okay, then I'm going to format major grid lines. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. Make sure you choose the same color tone. Okay, which is this gray. Okay, this particular gray, which is background one, darker, 35%. Okay, then after that, I'm going to format the minor axis. Okay, in this case, I'm going to do the same thing, the same color. Okay, but again, I'm going to use 50%. Okay, then so you notice that after I've done this, right, the contrast doesn't seem to be very obvious between the major and the minor. Okay, so what you can do is you can change the width. Okay, like that, and then I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. I'm going to change the width downwards. Okay, then you notice that there's a little bit more contrast. Okay, and then I'm just going to close this off. Of course, what I've shown here, it may not be something which everybody likes, because some of you might think that it's ugly, or some of you might think that it's not as nice as you want, or some of you might want the major grid lines to be darker. Okay, so that's fine. You can just play around with the color. So if I want the major grid lines, if you think this is not dark enough, you can make it darker. Okay, then for the other one, I can make it darker as well. Yeah, it's really up to your own preference. Okay, so if you just zoom inside, and then you can just check whether you can read off comfortably, or whether when it's printed on paper it can be read off. And then you notice that now what I have here is not exactly like a square. Okay, it's like a rectangle, so you can just adjust it accordingly. Yeah, okay, you can just adjust it until it looks more like a square. Okay, and then after that, you can try to paste this onto Microsoft Word. Okay, I'm just going to open the Microsoft Word document. Okay, just going to try to paste it over here like this. Okay, you'll notice that when you paste over, right, there is this kind of ugly border. Okay, that can be adjusted. Okay, so what I can do is I can just click on the plot area, and then format charts area, and then I just put no lines. Okay, so with that, there's no more lines, so I can just paste this thing over, and then it will work wonderfully. You can also adjust it over here if you wish to. Yeah, but my suggestion is to adjust it over at the Excel part, so that when you paste over, you do not need to make further adjustment. Yeah. Then let's say you do not like gray, because being old school, right? Some of for old school graph paper, it's green in color. Yeah, you can change it to the green tone. No, not a problem at all. So I'm just going to show you how it works. Okay, so I can just change the color to green. Okay, like this. Okay, then it will be changed to green, and then the minor axis, I can change it to green as well. Okay, of course 50% transparency, and then I can change the other axis to green as well. So let me just try over here, and then major axis change to green. Okay, yep. Then the minor grid line I change to green with 50% transparency. Yeah, so if you are someone who likes your background to be in green, yeah, this can be done quite easily, and if it fits what you need to do for assessment purposes lah. Okay, so once I get the graph out, actually a lot of things, you can do a lot of things with it. So for example, once I get a graph, I can change the equation to what I want. So for example, instead of y equals to 2x, I can change it to y equals to x square. Okay, maybe plus 2, something like that. Then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to change the equation. So this is equals to this the cell to the power of 2 plus 2. Okay, then I'm just going to change the whole thing. Okay, and get a new plot. Okay, so when I get a new plot, I can just format data, and then this is a polynomial graph. Okay, and then you get the graph out immediately. Okay, it can be done quite easily, and especially for those of you who require the students to read off the graph paper, but you want to plot it on Excel, you can easily do that, because over here I can read off the points quite clearly. Okay, yeah. So these are some of the tips I can share with you on how to do graph plotting. So I hope you find a little bit useful. But that is, of course, you know how to plot the graph given the equation. Yeah, but sometimes we do not know the equation. So let's say you are doing an experiment, then you have some random plots. So what are you going to do? Okay, so over here I'm just going to show you what can be done. So I'm just going to erase everything. Okay, and then what I can do is, let's say I have designed an experiment, and then I want to see the relationship between x and y. So let's say I get a 4.0 here, and then here I get 6. Okay, and then let's say here I get 7, and then over here I get like 10, something like that. And then after that I try 11, and then 15, and then 15, and then 24, and then maybe 20, and then let's say this is 40, something like that. Okay, okay, over here I think I got a straight line, but let's say I get 34, something like that. Okay, right. So I guess in a lot of the experiments we do get a lot of we do require the students to do a lot of graph plotting. So okay, maybe I'll just incorporate one more point, say 23, and then I get like 41. Okay, something like that, and then maybe 26, and say 44, something like that. Okay, yeah. So in a lot of okay, and then you notice that the grid line now becomes very ugly, and I guess you will know why it becomes very ugly. It's because of the axis in question. Okay, so maybe for the axis I can change to 5 and then 0.5. Okay, so that it looks okay, maybe not 5. Okay, so 2 and say 0.2. Okay, and then for the y-axis, okay, I'm gonna change it this y-axis value. Okay, so I'm just going to change it from let's see, where am I getting 5 and 0.5, maybe 10. Okay, and then perhaps 1, something like that. Okay, so I think it will look a little neater. Yeah, just going to shift this up a bit. Okay, yeah. And then sometimes in exams or in practicals, you're required to add a trend line. Okay, then what I'm going to do is, oops, the trend line is already there. Okay, so let me just remove the trend line first. Okay, I'm going to show you how the trend line can be added, right? I'm just going to click on one of the plotted points over here, and then I'm going to right click, and then there's an add trend line. Okay, I just add it in, and then you can see that it comes out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to format the trend line. Okay, because I don't want it to be dotted, right? Remember what we had said earlier on. Just going to change the width, and then to ensure that it's a solid line like this. We can change the color as well to black. Okay, so this is what we get. Okay, so if you wish to, you can display the equation on the graph. So over at format trend line, you can display equation and then display the R-squared value. The R-squared value will sort of give you an indication on how the points, how close the points are able to fit into this straight line graph. Okay, so if you have issues with that, you might want to just take a look at what you have learned in mathematics. Most importantly, Excel is able to give you the equation of the graph. So you notice that this equation, it gives you a gradient, and then it gives you the y-intercept. So it's actually quite powerful. So Excel is quite a powerful tool to help you to get some relationship out from plotted points. Yeah, if you are going to use this as some sort of a assessment question, or to get students to read off, or if you just want to plot it out in order for you to read out some points, you can do that as well. Yeah, and with the equation, you can just sub in any values, and then you can calculate the theoretical value of y. Okay, you notice that the graph that we have plotted, right, does not have the usual arrows we expect of the y and the x-axis. Some of you might be wondering how can we add this in. Yeah, so I'm going to show you how it can be added in. So I'm just going to right click and then format axis. Okay, so over at the format axis portion, right, you can just go to the lines, and then there's an end arrow type. Okay, I'm just going to put in the arrowhead. Okay, so you notice that now the arrowhead is out, and then I'm going to do the same to the y-axis. Okay, just going to get the arrowhead out. But you notice that now it does not look like your usual kind of graph when your arrowhead is a little bit beyond your major grid lines. Some of you might be wondering how we can do that. Okay, so there's a little trick you can follow. All you need to do is just to go and format the major axis, and then you change the maximum to a value that does not coincide with the major grid. So let's say I change to 29. Okay, so just going to show you how it's going to look like. Okay, you see, if you change to 29, the whole thing will shift, right? Yeah, so you have to be a little bit strategic. Continue to let this be 0, okay, which is the minimum. Okay, and then we'll see how it works. Yeah. Okay, so right now, can you see now the arrow is here, so it doesn't coincide with your major grid lines. Okay, so we're going to do the same to the y-axis. Okay, so maximum is 50. I'm just going to input 52 just to be very careful. Let this be 0. Okay, and then you notice that now the line is out, but okay, 52 is not very nice. Okay, so we'll just let it be 55. Okay, yeah, so it's out now, so we get something like that. This is the best way you can go around the problems without writing in the arrowhead yourself. Yeah. Okay, so I hope you find this particular video useful for your learning, as well as for you to plot graphs. Yeah. So the next video I'm going to show is probably how I go about using some of these techniques to plot a titration curve. Okay, so please look out for it in the next series of videos I'm going to show.